I stumbled across using awkward silences in a conversation a few years ago when I had a date with a Czech woman. She showed up and she was dressing very elegantly. I was even impressed by her beauty, and I started to feel a little bit nervous because, at the time I was not feeling good enough. Let's be honest here. And we ordered our drinks, started to chit chat. I relaxed a little bit more. I was not as nervous, and I could sense that there was a good chemistry already. It was nice. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a silence appeared. And my usual response to silences at the time was really to just run away and find another topic to talk about, overthink, feel anxious and all of this. But this time I was like, no, I'm going to embrace this silence and I'm going to look at her deep in the eyes. And this is what I did. She looked at me back deep in the eyes, and she was on at that time. And basically what ended up happening was the longest stare of my life. For 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, we just looked at each other without saying a single word. Now from the outside, if you would look at us, nothing is really happening. Just two weirdos looking at each other for no reason. But what was happening inside of us was pure magic. I was feeling sexual tension, I was feeling the connection, I was feeling like we were merging together with our gaze. And she felt that too, by the way. She told me afterward. And it was really interesting, to say the least, because I was not used to it. She was not used to it too, right? Both of us were caught in this surprising moment. Now we continue the conversation, of course. We didn't just stare at each other the whole date, but funny enough, another silence appeared and we both embraced it again. And basically the whole dynamic of this date was long silences, a little bit of conversation, long silences, etc., etc. Now, I want this video to really extract the wisdom from this experience because yes, I ended up inviting her home. We had a beautiful night together, and there was a lot of sexual tension throughout the whole date, sure. Now, what you need to understand is that within silence, there is a lot of tension. And you need tension in a conversation with a woman if you don't want to end up in the friend zone, okay? Because it is very natural to have the tension when there is polarity. Because polarity needs this little bit of friction. And I'll discuss that a little bit later in this video. So the default mechanism here for most of us, when it comes down to experiencing a silence and tension, is to run away, right? You start overthinking about what you should say, the next topic, you start feeling anxious, you start panicking, you start basically feeling attracted to maybe learn a line, to learn a technique, to never run out of things to say. Very typical. Now, when you do this, you're shooting yourself in the foot here because without realizing, you break the tension between you and her. This is the trap here, my brother. Because you're uncomfortable with this silence, you're breaking the tension. And if you break the tension, there is no polarity between you and her. And if there's no polarity between you and her, why would she feel attracted to you? Why would she respect you as a man? Why would she want to go home with you? Why would she want to commit to you in a relationship if there's no polarity? It's just not going to happen. She will happily be your friend, but she's not going to see you as a romantic partner because there's no polarity, because you're not embracing the tension, because you're not being so comfortable with the silence in the conversation. And I know it's a little bit out there, but at the same time, have you tried to leave silences during a conversation? And I'll tell you later in this video how to really embrace a silence. Now, like I said, polarity exists within the tension. And you want to look at a fire. To create a fire, there needs to be a friction, right? And it's the same thing when it comes down to creating sexual tension. You want to be able to create this friction, not by fighting with her, but by embracing the uncomfortable feelings and the uncomfortable moments that arise within the conversation. And one of them appear to be silences. That's the thing. So your goal is to become comfortable with the tension. This is the whole art of creating polarity, creating this man to woman conversation, and creating sexual tension with the woman. You want to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. You want to become comfortable with the tension. You want to become comfortable with the silence. And that's when the magic happens. Yeah? And I know it's a little bit crazy what I'm saying here, but this is the reality. I have been super focused on dating for the past 10 years, literally. It's been a decade that I'm focusing on this aspect of my life. I'm in a relationship right now for almost 2 years with my ideal woman. But at the time when I was trying to figure this out, I was deeply involved in trying to understand like the mechanic between a man and a woman and how to create real attraction, sexual tension, and all of that. So I spent many hours doing this. Yeah. Very quickly, my brother, this is not an ad. Because we discuss sexual tension, I want to offer to you to join the masterclass that I'm organizing next week. This is exactly about this topic, but instead of talking just about silence, I will reveal to you the entire framework to literally make her panties wet on the date so that she wants to go home with you. If you want more information, there's a Google Doc in the description of this video. And if it feels right, you can join. If not, all good. Now, let's actually talk about a proper system to create sexual tension whenever you have a conversation with a woman. The first thing I want you to do is to leave at least one awkward silence for every conversation you have with a beautiful woman. This is non-negotiable. Stop avoiding the silences in conversation. Get out of your head a little bit. If there is a moment when you don't know what to say, instead of panicking, instead of freaking out, instead of feeling anxious, instead of trying to figure out what you should say, embrace the fact that you don't know what to say and leave a fucking silence. Yeah? At least one. If you can leave many silences, you will be surprised, my brother. She will start chasing you out of nowhere. She will actually talk to you instead of thinking that she will also be silent and she will feel awkward and she will be losing attraction and all of that. Have you tried to leave a silence? Maybe not, right? So see for yourself. When you leave a silence, relax your entire body as you embrace it, right? You don't want to just leave a silence and do nothing. You want to relax your entire body. Because remember, the law of state transference is as real as it gets. So whatever you feel, she will feel. So if you feel awkward about the silence, she will feel awkward about the silence. But if you feel totally comfortable with the silence, if you relax into the uncomfortable of the silence, she will also feel that. And don't believe me, try for yourself. Really, try for yourself. If you don't believe me here, try for yourself. This is me talking from my experience, period. Yeah. And of course, you want to pay attention to how she reacts. So there are some women that are not going to be comfortable with silences because they have their own insecurities, they have their own fears, and you don't want to force the silence because you heard Mr. Sacha Corbier telling you that you should leave silences, okay? Like, have a bit of empathy and compassion. And if you see that she's really not into it, don't force it also, okay? But you will be surprised that a lot of women actually enjoy silences in a conversation. And if you even have a conversation with them about this, you will see that they will tell you, yeah, like, I love when there is a silence. I used to have those conversations. It was really interesting. And now, when you have done these three things, which is to leave an awkward silence, relax, and be empathetic and compassionate, you want to follow your RAS, right? You don't have to stare in her soul for 10 minutes, okay? I did this back then because, I was very spiritual and interested in finding out like all the different ways where you can create sexual tension. And I was very lucky to have this woman as crazy as me. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a woman like this that is going to allow you to look at her deep in the eyes for 10 minutes. I don't think so, honestly. Not a lot of women are into this. So you want to follow your RAS, and at one point, when you feel that it's enough, the silence, then see what you want to say, right? You don't want to just stare at her and say nothing like a fucking weirdo. You know, you want to, of course, have a little bit of a flow in a conversation, but really the point of this video is to show you that there is a lot of wisdom in leaving a silence in a conversation, and this can allow you to create sexual tension. But it doesn't mean that you should be silent the whole time, of course. So these are really the main thing you want to focus on when you leave a silence. Now, if you want to put it on steroid, I want to give you a bonus tip here. And it's to feel your genitals throughout the whole conversation, and especially during the silences. The reason why you want to do this is because when you feel your genitals, you're going to feel aroused. And especially like if you practice semen retention, you're going to feel super aroused just by moving your awareness to your genitals. If you start to feel aroused, if you start to feel sexual energy, she will feel it too, because of the law of state transference. Whatever you feel, she will feel, right? This is exactly what happened during that date, right? I was staring at her, she was staring at me, and I was feeling my balls and I was feeling my genitals. And I started to feel the sexual energy building up. And I knew that she was getting wet at that time too, right? And that's why we had this very powerful polarity and we ended up having a beautiful night. So this is it. This is really what you need to do. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you want to let me know your thoughts, make sure to leave me a comment. I respond to every single comment right now. And thank you, my man. I see you.